Queensland Government will phase out the advertising of unhealthy food and drinks from advertising products that we own. That includes roadside, transit, and within station advertising, billboards and outdoor advertising. This is really about the government saying we're going to lead by example. We're going to put our money where our mouth is. We have an ambitious target to increase the number of Queenslanders with a healthy weight by 10% by 2026, and this is one way we can do that. It's great to have Lynn here from Diabetes Queensland, who run our My Health for Life program, which gives Queenslanders a practical individual program to improve their weight, and I might ask her to say what this ban means.
Thanks everyone. Lynn Hamill from Diabetes Queensland. We congratulate the government on this decision to reduce the availability of advertising. For many of us, what are sometimes food become everyday foods when you're surrounded by enticing advertising, and any parent will know what that means. The removal of access to advertising will help Queenslanders actually move to make more healthy decisions about what they eat. More than a third of our calorific intake on a daily basis is of this kind of sometimes food, and we'd love to see people eating more fruit and vegetables and making more healthy decisions about what they eat.
Can I just ask you, while you're there, how big an impact this advertising has on kids and their consumption of this food?
You're a parent. For most people, what you start to see is children making choices. When they have a choice on what food to choose, they will choose the food that is the latest advertising. All of the junk, what we consider to be junk food, is bright and shiny and happy, and it looks much more interesting to most children than an apple or a pear or a piece of fruit. So it does have a significant impact. Any parent would know that. Yeah.
How do you define overweight and obese?
There's a scientific calculation based on weight and height that leads to what is considered to be overweight and obese, and unfortunately for most of Queenslanders that's around 80% of us. You can be argued whether that is the right calculation. It's called a BMI calculation, but the reality is that that's what clinicians use to define obesity and being overweight.
How much does the government currently make in advertising?
It's been difficult to exactly quantify the amount of advertising that would fall into this category, the existing amount. There's about 2,000 billboards and outdoor advertising spaces that this ban will apply to, and the approximation of the current level of revenue is in the millions of dollars. Of course, that won't all be lost revenue. Some of that advertising space will be taken up by other advertisers, hopefully people advertising healthier food choices.
And how do you define junk food? Could it extend to 7-Elevens?
That's a level of detail we now want to work with industry to codify. So we will work with both health promotion groups like Diabetes Queensland, as well as the food and beverage industry and retailers to codify exactly what this ban will apply to. But the focus will be on those foods that are heavy in salt, sugar, and fat.
Why not stadiums? That's obviously where kids see most of that advertising.
So this ban won't apply to stadiums at this stage. The reason for that is the contracts that relate to stadiums are much more complicated than the properties that we own outright, and so this is a chance for us to prove that it can work in places where the contracts are much simpler.
And obviously, with those contracts in place, how long is it going to take to make this change? You're going to have to wait for those contracts to end.
Yeah, it could take a few years for this to be phased in, but all new contracts, as they're negotiated, will include these new conditions once they're finalised.
Have you had any feedback from junk food providers and what their thoughts are about having less advertising space?
Not yet. This is the start of a process of consulting them, as well as the advertising industry itself. But I hope that they understand that this is all about wanting to make Queenslanders healthier, and this isn't a ban on them advertising. This is a ban on them advertising unhealthy foods, and an opportunity, therefore, for them to provide healthier options and advertise those on our billboards.
Would you like to eventually see a full ban, though? Is that...
Oh, look, that's something we can look at once we see how effective this is, but for now this is a pretty substantial step to be banning unhealthy foods on Queensland government-owned advertising spaces.
Tim Manders come out this morning saying, does it mean KFC can no longer support the Big Bash and Coca-Cola can't support the Firebirds? Is that the case here, or is that totally different?
Well, no, it doesn't. This only applies to outdoor advertising spaces owned by the government and doesn't apply to stadiums. But I, frankly, am pretty disappointed to have Tim Mander criticising what is a very sensible public health initiative we're announcing today.
So what about McDonald's wanting to advertise their salads? Can they do that at train stations?
That's correct. Well, that's our intention anyway. We'll consult on all of these provisions, but our intention would be that if a food provider wanted to advertise a healthier food option, then that would still be allowed.
So you'll have different rules for different parts of the menu for all these fast food giants?
So the rules will be based on the level of fat, salt and sugar in a food product that they're wanting to advertise.